What's up, y'all? It's Drewski, and I've teamed up with Mountain Dew to produce a hilarious new basketball podcast called The Dew Zone with Drewski. Learn the backstories of your favorite ballers and celebrities like Jamal Murray.
Did you have like a favorite team? Was it the Raptors at the time or no? Was the Raptors even started around that time?
Come on, bro.
I ain't that old, fam. You talking like I'm 50.
Taylor Rooks, Asia Wilson, and many more. You won't want to miss this. Listen to The Dew Zone with Drewski on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Timeline is a Blue Wire podcast.
They get it to Antetokounmpo, firing up for the win, won't get it. The Suns hang on and take the 1-point victory.
Welcome to the Timeline of Phoenix Suns podcast. My name is Mike. I'm here with Sam, as always. Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. The best win of the season so far for the Phoenix Suns. There's really no other way to put it. 15-9, a just crazy game all around to beat this Milwaukee team. I don't know about you, but I was not feeling very confident after the first half. Going up against a team that just continued to blitz us with threes, shot I think like 54% from deep going into the second half, and they prevailed. So, I mean, yeah, we could have a lot to talk about tonight. I'm sure people have a lot of questions. I'm ready to get into anything, basically.
Yeah, it's funny because there's part of me that always thinks when a team comes out and just puts a bunch of threes on you early in the game like that, I sometimes think, oh, well, they can't continue doing this forever. But as a Suns fan, it feels like when teams do that, they do continue to do that forever. Like it never feels like it ends. It just feels like time and time again, they just continue to hit threes after three after three. But in this game, it caught up to them. They started missing some three-pointers. They started missing some free throws at some point in that game, and that helped us out a lot in this game. By the way, Sam, we're already getting a bunch of comments in the stream. Thank you, everybody, for watching live, by the way, on YouTube. We're going to put this out as a podcast tomorrow, too. For those watching live, check out our podcast. If you've never listened to it, find it on a podcast app. For those listening on the podcast stream, you can follow us on YouTube, too. We're taking questions live. But a lot of people, Sam, are talking about Bridges' Law. You might have something there.
Yeah, so talked about it on our podcast episode that released just 2 days ago. He hit his first three of the night tonight. It was like, what, 2 minutes into the game, Mike? Yeah. And yeah, I think one of our Twitter buddies, Zinn, or I already forget who it was, but was joking that there was never any reason to worry after he hit that shot. I don't know what Suns fans were so nervous for all game. Yeah. Because the Suns are now 9-1 when Mikal Bridges hits his first 3-point attempt of the game. So if it's going in, there's a really good chance that they're going to come away with the win.
Yeah. Some people are saying, no, it's Frank's Law now. Let's see. First question from somebody. We're taking questions from you guys in the chat. Feel free to shout them all out. It'll be difficult for us to keep up with all the questions that we're getting at here, but we'll try to get it to as many as possible. First question, are Suns fans ready to take back everything they said about the Frank Kaminsky signing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, vindicated again. Another good game by Frank Kaminsky.
Seriously, another good game. I mean, I got it right here in the box score, 14-8-8. Now, look, it's always going to be, in some sense, the quintessential Frank Kaminsky experience, right? Mm-hmm. Late in the fourth quarter, the Suns needed buckets and they needed stops, and like he had a couple of blown layups. It's Frank Kaminsky. He's going to do that sometimes. But 14-8-8, only 2 turnovers. This is exactly why he's in the lineup. Obviously tonight also it just made a lot of sense for Frank to do that Lopez matchup. I would still like, as well as Frank Kaminsky's playing, I would still like Jay Crowder to go back into the starting lineup. I think he's just too talented to leave him on the bench. But Frank, he's going to keep this role for a while, man. I mean, he's going to keep getting minutes. I think Dario Saric is still a little ways off. So he's been fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Monty, I thought, did a really good job in this game. Obviously struggled to stop the three-pointers. The Suns struggled to stop the three-pointers in that first half, but it's hard to blame a team entirely for that because that's just something that happens. When teams make three-pointers, it's difficult to stop them. But I did think it was interesting that the game ended with Jay Crowder. By the way, I hope Jay Crowder's okay. It seemed like Lopez landed on his knee. It didn't seem like it bent badly. It seemed like it was more about it getting smashed and driven into the ground, which is obviously still very painful, but I get a little more nervous when a knee bends the way that they shouldn't bend, which is sideways or backwards. So I thought in this case, maybe he seems to be okay. But Jay Crowder ended the game, ended with 14 rebounds, by the way, an insane game for Jay Crowder. But I thought that was the right decision. At some point in the game, you have to trust the veterans, and Jay Crowder had 2 insanely important plays in this game, multiple steals in that fourth quarter, pulled the chair out on one very important play. The ball dribbled out. The Suns were able to steal it and take it down the court. Somebody's asking, Pure Toxics says, do you think Frank starting over Crowder and Cam is a good idea? And if so, why over those guys? I think long-term, we talked about it before, I think long-term Jay Crowder is the right fit still. Actually, I think the next game is against Philadelphia on Saturday. That might be a good game to start him to play against that team. They have Ben Simmons, they have Joel Embiid, but they also have Tobias Harris. You can put Mikal Bridges on one of those guys, Tobias Harris or Ben Simmons, and you can put Jay Crowder on one of the other guys, obviously Ayton with Embiid. But what do you think, Sam?
I mean, the other thing about Frank, right, is we know he has hot streaks and cold streaks. And when he frustrated Suns fans last year, it was because he was shooting often like 32, 33% from deep. Tonight, he went 2 for 4. He's shooting closer to 40% this year. Obviously, I hope that continues. It's just, all I'm saying is it's a lot easier to like the Frank Kaminsky experience when he's actually behaving like a stretch 4 that people think he is. When he's doing all the other stuff, finding cutters and dribbling and trying to be aggressive and get to the free throw line, that's all important too, and it plays its own role. But definitely, I mean, look, it helps that the Suns here shot 15 for 31 from deep. They just executed flawlessly, and really it's the first game all season. 30 points from Devin Booker, 28 from Chris Paul, 17 from Ayton, who didn't even really do anything after the first quarter, and 15 from Mikal Bridges. The entire starting lineup played well. And we've been saying all season long, Mike, when are CP3 and Booker finally going to have a good game on the same night? Well, we finally saw it tonight. Mm-hmm. And the result is that they can go toe-to-toe with any contender. That doesn't mean they can beat any contender in a 7-game series, but they catch a contender on a bit of an off night. This wasn't even an off night for Milwaukee. At their best, they can go toe-to-toe with the best. And it's just so encouraging to see after tonight.
Yeah, and a question related to that, Dustin Blowers. Sorry if I pronounce any names wrong here. But Dustin, thank you for asking this question, because it's something that Sam and I actually talked about before we started recording, that we wanted to talk about this. He said, how do you guys feel about Monty going heavy on an 8-man lineup? Seems like he's been using primarily just 8 guys since Book has been back. We noticed that as well. I think so much about this game, by the way, is I think you can point at as maybe this is how Monty's going to look in the playoffs. A couple things, and Sam, I'll let you talk about the lineup, but a couple things that I noticed early in this game were schematic things that were specific to this game, that were not things that I necessarily saw the Suns doing on a regular basis before today. They found specific ways to attack. The Bucks play this really heavy paint protection scheme, where they will sell out on 3-point shooters and allow you to shoot threes, basically, and their goal is to try and get the right guys, and I'm going to use quotes on that, to shoot threes, like Frank Kaminsky in this game would be the guy that they left open. But they found ways to find, I posted a clip of getting Cam Johnson open in the corner by screening Bobby Portis as he was leaking out into the paint when Devin Booker was attacking. That was a really interesting thing that they did, but they also found different ways to switch and not to switch on specific guys that I thought was specific to the Bucks. You add those things, those are specific to just playing this one team. There's not been a lot of things that I've noticed that are game plans specific to one team. Today I did see that. And you add that to an 8-man rotation, I think that's probably some playoff things. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, like he said, it was basically an 8-man rotation. Langston Galloway only played 6 minutes. He's my guy. I love Langston Galloway, but he came in for 6 minutes. He was a -10, didn't really do anything. So it was effectively an 8-man rotation tonight, and I think a good preview for the playoffs. Encouraging in the sense that this team still isn't at full strength. You don't have Sarge, you don't have Payne. And even beyond those guys, you have other guys that can contribute who were buried on the bench and didn't even play tonight. We know that Abdel Nader can play, and can play serious minutes if he has to in a game. Same with Javon Carter, even though he hasn't been at his best this season. So to see them go out there with just 8 core guys, by the way, a good redemption story in that sense for Etuan Moore, I think too, who had his best game of the season, the last game against Cleveland, and then came out, I mean, he wasn't exceptional tonight, but another 19 minutes. It's very hard to crack a consistent spot in this rotation right now. So for Etuan to go where he went from being kind of called out by Suns fans as maybe the worst player on the roster just a couple of weeks ago, to now being a guy who's really earned Monty's trust.
Out of position too.
And for the most part, exactly, playing point guard rather than shooting guard. It's really impressive. I have to ask, because I can't see the YouTube chat here. And I don't want it to become like a dominant discussion, but are people asking about the officiating? Because I think
not yet, not really.
I mean, it's an interesting game to talk about it, man. Do you have thoughts?
I think that
you want to get off?
I honestly think that we fouled Giannis a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, we fouled him a lot. I think there are games where I get angry at the refs. The Cavs game almost sent me off the deep end in a lot of ways. And there was one call that I was, focusing on, the Frank Kaminsky call, and very odd that they didn't let the Suns challenge it due to how quickly they gave the ball to Giannis at the free throw line. I imagine that scenario doesn't happen a lot with the Suns, like going the other way around. But I would say that the majority of Giannis's free throws were valid because he's impossible to guard. And the fact that you can find a way to win with those kinds of odds stacked against you, I think a lot of credit can go to Mikal Bridges here. I talked about it before the game. Chris Middleton is very good, and Mikal Bridges, it seems like Mikal Bridges is good at holding some of the most efficient scores to basically however many points to whatever shots they took. I think he had 18 points on 17 shots. I feel like those numbers are always relatively similar from Mikal. They find ways to stop. By the way, Cody Hunt, our friend Cody Hunt, who has done work with us on this podcast, just said Dork Nowitzki, which I assume is a nickname for Frank Kaminsky, which I love. Yes. Yep. And our friend Durag Hoops, another friend of the pod, said, I'm offended by this question. Durag, first of all, does the
Durag puts out good Suns content on YouTube, by the way. Yes. Go give his channel a follow.
Does the emergence of Frank and his chemistry with third banana Mikal make Dario expendable? I'm gonna say no to that.
Yeah, it's an interesting question though, right?
Because Dario makes like $9 million, and that's a tradable contract.
Exactly. I love Dario. I love Dario Saric. He's a great piece, and I still think he's the best piece off the Suns bench when fully healthy. But if you want to make a trade at the deadline, just theoretically, if you want to play the if game, the only way you're going to do it, you could get a cheap piece in the $3 to $5 million range by being willing to like trade, Javon Carter or Jalen Smith, or you could get a veteran piece. Like if you wanted George Hill really badly, you have to swap either Jay Crowder's contract or Dario Saric, right? And until now, that hasn't really made sense. I still don't really think it makes sense. I like Dario. He played well in the bubble. I think, he's only played 7 games this season. You should give this team time to mesh. But I don't know, Mike. I mean, maybe if the right veteran hits the market, you could think about it. If it's the right guy in that kind of $10 to $12 million range, and Frank Kaminsky's playing this well, and there's a more pressing need, I mean, I don't know, say Cameron Payne regresses or something, and you feel like you really need a backup point guard for the playoffs. Yeah, it's something you could think about.
Yeah, and there are some questions about what happens when Cam Payne is healthy again now that Moore has played so well. And I actually think there's a chance, and Sam, you're not going to like this, I think there's a chance that he eats more into Langston Galloway's minutes than Etuan Moore's minutes. I'm not really confident in that because maybe they're going to continue to try and stagger. But I think if they both play well, if Moore and Payne play well, then maybe you don't have to stagger as much. And that actually goes to another question we're getting. Do you think, this is from Lance Simpson. Thanks again, everyone watching and asking us questions. Lance Simpson says, do you think we are finally seeing Book and CP3 learning how to coexist, or do you think there will still be some growing pains? What do you think?
Yes. Yeah, no, I would lean towards yes. I mean, it's hard to explain, right? Because I feel like part of it is just Chris Paul is making shots that he didn't make 3 weeks ago. His mid-range has been just absolutely automatic, but I do also think there is an element of we're learning to see them coexist.
Yeah, I think there is. I think there seems to be an effort to get Devin Booker going in the first quarter, which it has not necessarily even been the case for Devin Booker. Even like the last 2 seasons, there has been a concerted effort in the past to try to get the rest of the team going. But finding ways to get Devin Booker going early in the game is really great for this team because Chris Paul tends to pick it up as the game goes along already. So if you can find a way to get Devin Booker going early in this game, I think that'll make a big difference towards it working with both of them on the court. Let's see. Let me get another question here. Someone saying Middleton missing those 2 free throws was huge. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, they made every free throw before that, it seems like. So.
That last shot should have gone to Middleton, right? I mean, I guess you could credit Ayton for walling up Giannis in the first place because Giannis has the space to get to the rim in 3 seconds. But if it was going to be a jumper anyway, as soon as it went up,
yeah,
I felt pretty good.
I'll be honest, that's the problem with Giannis right there. It's exactly
that's the only
that.
problem. It's the only thing, and no knocks on Giannis because
no, he's so good.
Guys, the Bucks are, I think some people have misunderstandings. The Bucks are 16-9 now. They were 16-8 coming into this game. They have the most efficient offense of all time and the best net rating in the NBA. Their 16-8 record has been, and it happened to them again tonight, solely because they blow teams out by 30 and then they lose by 1. Right. So I guess they're going to keep doing that this season and maybe not coast to quite the same regular season record they've had in the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, that jump shot's the only thing that's keeping that guy back from being like GOAT potential.
Yeah. I wonder if they were hoping for some foul. Like, it's free throws the whole game for him. And by the way, he made a lot of them. So I wonder if they were trying to play for a foul there a little bit.
You just, with the way, and this is the only thing I wanted to say on officiating before, it's not that the foul stats were lopsided. It's not that I thought, CP3, I thought, and Booker as well, were both very clever in their own right at getting ticky-tack fouls. It's more so just my frustration with the ticky-tack fouls. I think this was a great game. It was prime time. It was on ESPN. Maybe the Suns got a lot of new fans tonight for all we know. I mean, they're getting so many national TV games today. I'm not in Phoenix. I'm not local, but I'd like to think that maybe the city is waking up to the idea that this is actually a really good team. But that being said, I don't think the officials were biased against Phoenix. I more so just think it's a bad viewership experience for the viewers when you call so many fouls, and it makes it impossible to guard a guy like Giannis as well.
The economy is made up of real people doing real stuff, and it affects everything. Which you obviously know since you're a real person doing real stuff. Marketplace is here to help you get smart about everything beyond the what of the day's business and economic news. We dig into the how and the why with the real people driving our economy. From big tech and interest rates to small businesses and what's happening at the Fed. Marketplace breaks it all down so you don't have to. Listen to Marketplace wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, if DeAndre Ayton can find a way to attack the way Giannis does, and I know that's like asking a player to just score like Michael Jordan, but if you can find a way to get that kind of contact, then that's a good sign for the Suns too, because DeAndre Ayton is a good free throw shooter, and it's a good thing when big men are drawing fouls too, because I think there's a lot of cases where it seems like it's guards commonly or guys who dribble a lot, which Giannis does, but guys who, like Luka baits fouls 35 feet away from the basket, which, by the way, Chris Paul is good at too, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. But it's just something that does happen. Somebody said, actually, his name is Lil PP, said, everything Monty has done that we've complained about has paid off for the Suns. Kaminsky starting, Nader playing, etc. I mean, yeah, it's a good point. Do we need to give Monty more credit for what's going on right now?
Well, I think Monty has all along, I talked about this in the last episode, he's instituted a system that works, and the Frank move in particular is just him playing to a system. I don't think that was ever a surprise that he would want a guy who is known as such a good playmaker to help run the system. One thing is, I mean, it's a moot point tonight. Damian Jones doesn't need minutes when you could be playing Jalen Smith. I would still probably rather free Jalen Smith. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I can't think of many decisions that I've really disagreed with Monty with this year. He's been great. It's just, the only thing I would caution people about is it is the Mike Budenholzer issue, which is you can institute a great system and coast to a great regular season record. And keep in mind, the Suns don't have the same expectations of the Bucks going into the playoffs, right? But it's just the playoffs is a different beast. 7-game series are hard, and you have to make adjustments throughout series. So I think the Suns have a great system, and I think it's a system that works. The adjustments come playoff time. I really can't tell you guys how Monty is going to thrive in that environment, or if he's going to thrive, until we actually see it. And I think that's going to be the most interesting storyline when the Suns do make the playoffs. And I'm feeling increasingly confident that that's a when, not an if. When the Suns do make the playoffs this year, that's what we'll be watching out of Monty Williams is, the system is great. 0.5 works. Can he make adjustments game in and game out?
Yeah, I think it helps that your star player is Chris Paul. Like, one of your main stars is Chris Paul. Yeah, as much as people like to disparage Chris Paul's playoff records, Chris Paul being able to adjust is a little different than Giannis being able to adjust, because Giannis is just not good at shooting jump shots, especially off the dribble. And, that hurts. That hurts them a lot. I think, of course, Budenholzer deserves some blame, but Giannis does too. So I think it's a little different of a scenario. It helps when the best case for the Bucks is that Chris Middleton is their best player at some point. And I know that's unrealistic, but that's a best case for them.
I know the Suns are a little empty-handed too, but can we also just remember the Bucks were missing Drew Holiday tonight? That team is so stacked. They could be even better at full strength. They're really, really good. I have no idea who's going to come out of the East, honestly.
Somebody asked, is Booker so surprised about actually drawing fouls that he can't hit 2 consecutive free throws? Taylor McCoy.
I don't know what that is, man. You'd think 20 games in, it would start to normalize, right? And 80, what's he at? I'll look it up in a second. He's at 82, 83% or something like that. But he was at 90 plus last year, or close to it. Let's just check real quick. Yeah, he dropped from 92 to 82 and a half.
Yeah.
This season. It's just weird. It's not a catastrophic drop or anything. It's not losing the Suns games, but it's inexplicable.
Well, I mean, a very untalked about fact is that Devin Booker had the greatest high volume free throw shooting season last season of all time. As far as players who shot as many free throws as him, he shot the highest free throw percentage. So it's one of the greatest free throw shooting seasons of all time. So maybe a little bit of coming back down to earth, but I also think that he's going to do a little bit better as the season progresses, just like the rest of his stats. I mean, he had 30 points tonight. Still, I think his assists might stay relatively low compared to previously.
The Suns they're still shooting 83.3% from the line as a team. Even good. With Booker going down. They were already the best all-time last year at 83.4.
Can we talk about how weird it is to wake up in the morning and ESPN has put out 3 different versions of a Devin Booker story? Devin Booker is getting legitimate press.
He got his flowers today. And look, I think Suns fans, the type of people who listen to this podcast, first of all, it's like, here's an introduction to Devin Booker if you haven't paid any attention for the past 5 years.
Right.
So, to Suns fans, in a sense, the 70-point game and what he did in college and all that stuff is old news to us. So, I just wasn't going into it basically with that expectation. It just felt very cinematic. I thought the video was very well edited. I'll be honest. I didn't get to listen to the podcast. That was the part that I didn't.
Yeah, check it out when you can. It's very cool. And those listening, but ESPN, it's called the ESPN Daily Podcast. You can find it on podcast apps. Pablo Torre, I believe, hosts it. They did a whole episode about Devin Booker with Michael Wilbon. And,
it was really just good. Validation.
It's a cool thing for him to do that, and it's also nice that he just started playing a little bit better the last few games. Had another great game tonight, probably the best player on the floor tonight. Although Chris Paul was pretty amazing too, and DeAndre Ayton. We didn't even talk about DeAndre Ayton yet. DeAndre Ayton coming into this game, a singular defensive assignment, still got in foul trouble, but that's what happens. I mean, that's what happens when you guard Giannis. But I thought he was, not only did DeAndre Ayton do an excellent job defending Giannis, I thought his effort offensively in the paint to start this game was vital for the Suns, because there were times where they were struggling. He found ways to get offensive rebounds. He was hitting shots in the paint that were not easy shots for some of those shots that he hit. A very important game for him. Let's see. We got a few comments saying that we need to shout out Kendall Jenner. I don't think that we've ever even talked about Kendall Jenner on the podcast, have we?
But shout out Kendall Jenner for what? For the free throw curse, or? Because here's the thing. It's not like, it's not like Booker's playing better than last year. The Suns are winning games because they're a better team.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not, he's not awful or anything. It's not like Kendall Jenner's made him better.
No. But I do wonder if she was at the games, the last 2 games.
She's probably coming now. She's probably coming to the games.
Yeah, maybe she is. Maybe that's why he's playing better. Someone said the type of people who listen to this podcast are insane people. Mark Sellera said that.
That is facts.
I mean, here's the truth. We do a podcast about the Phoenix Suns that we started in a season where they won like 14 games.
And some of you longtime people still listen back then. So you're the real crazy fuckheads. The people who are just joining now, and there are a decent amount of people just joining now, we're happy to have all of you now that the Suns are actually a good team. And we also understand that every season has its highs and lows. There will be losing streaks where even the diehards do not want to hear a couple of guys talk about the Phoenix Suns for an hour plus a week. But yeah, some people are that insane. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any thoughts on, let's see, Chris Paul today? I mean, it was just are we just sort of getting used to what Chris Paul does, where he just goes in there and he takes advantage of drop defenses and finds the right guys on passes? And I mean, he tripped a ref.
I mean, that first of all, that was a funny video, man. But also, yeah, with drop defenses, the entire thing about drop defenses, often people focus on the pull-up three-point shooter being the guy who kills the drop defense, the Steph Curry, the Damian Lillard. And they don't focus so much on the mid-range shot, because the idea behind a drop defense is you're using everything you've got, all of your resources to protect the rim, and you want to entice players to take the mid-range shots because it's the least efficient shot. Chris Paul is the guy who breaks the formula. He is one of the only guys in the league, especially like of the past 10 or 20 years, who actually manipulates those shots, which is exactly what the Bucks wanted to give him, but manipulates it so well to the point of actually using the Bucks' own game against them. And so, the Suns are not a team. The Bucks put all their focus on the rim. The Suns aren't a team that really try to get to the rim all that much anyway. And in this particular matchup, obviously it looked great because the Suns just had great execution and made their shots. It's not always going to be that way. And we've seen this season that it isn't always that way. But yeah, tonight, I mean, Paul was fantastic. And like you said, just manipulating them again and again, getting switches on guys like Brook Lopez and just dominating him. The same thing we saw, last week against Porzingis too. Mm-hmm. If he gets a switch on a big, it's done. It's automatic. I can't even remember the last time the Suns had a guy who would recognize when the Suns were one foul away from the bonus and then just draw a cheap foul, like a legitimately cheap rip-through foul on, Dante DiVincenzo to get to the bonus 9 minutes with 9 minutes left in a quarter. That is the type of thing that Chris Paul does that can easily go a little bit unnoticed, but that's the kind of veteran savvy and, dickishness, if you want to call it something, that Chris Paul has that a team needs to be a winner. It's kind of funny because like every team kind of has an a-hole, if you will, like every good team, Dennis Rodman, most famous one probably, Draymond Green for the Warriors, but ours is Chris Paul. Yeah, well, the Suns have a bunch, honestly. Yeah, Devin Booker. The Suns got Frank Kaminsky getting under guys' skin now, which is pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul, man, so good. By the way, he's an all-star. Please go vote for him for all-star because he absolutely deserves it. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there's a question here. But anyone who has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. We'll try to get to as many as we can. We're probably going to be on for a few more minutes. So if you have any questions, get them in now. Somebody asked who's more deserving of an all-star spot, Chris Paul or Devin Booker. I think we both probably agree it's Chris Paul at this point. If there's only one spot for them, I'm giving it to Chris Paul. Yeah, but I think that it's probably going to be pretty even by the time the all-star game actually comes. So, that's the type of thing. Somebody's referencing Kellen Olson's tweet on a Devin Booker quote. What is that? All right, here I'm going on Twitter live on this podcast to try and see what Kellen Olson said about Devin Booker. Let's see. Devin Booker's thoughts. Oh my God. We're in good shape. Oh Devin Booker's thoughts when he saw Giannis Antetokounmpo pulling up from the mid-range area for the potential game winner. We're in good shape. Yep. Dear God, that man he's brutal. Yeah. Well, I mean, we thought the same thing. I just like the fact that Devin can dish it out and can also take it, because when you do that, you open yourself up to some spiciness coming your way the next time you blow a game. But as long as he can handle it, and I know he can, I love it. I love the chippiness. And again, I encourage you to go and read Wilbon's article. It talks about that too, about just how intense Devin is, about the guys who wear his colors. And there's no camaraderie Obviously, he has a mutual respect for the opponents he faces, but there's no camaraderie between him and those players when he goes out there and plays. He's got that old school mentality. And I think it's that, among a lot of other factors, that just make him and CP3 respect each other so much. Even if we haven't necessarily seen statistically it work the way we want it to until the past couple games or whatever. Those guys, they trust each other, and they have faith in each other to figure it out over 10 or 20 or 30 games. They're not going to give up on this thing, and they know they can keep building on it.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. By the way, but vote for both of them. Before I forget to say that. Vote for both Chris Paul and Devin Booker. I think they both deserve it. And at this point, vote for Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton too, because there's been a lot of really good Suns players. Those are the main 4 guys, I think, at this point. Jay Crowder's been really good too. Not all-star worthy, but guys need to be stars in their roles. Dan Favali was talking about that on the podcast that we had him on, and guys need to be stars in their roles, and those guys have been stars in their roles as well. Let's see. Do you see the Suns as a top 4 seed in the West, or do you think they'll fall back down to the lower seeds? Before the season, I predicted they could be as high as the 3rd seed, and I think that my general range is like 3rd to 5th. That's where I thought the Suns would be. I think that's pretty confident. I didn't see the things shaking out the way that they are currently shaking out, because there's some weird things happening. But I think they're going to do pretty well for the rest of the season. I think the records are going to be weird because of COVID. So certain things are going to happen that you necessarily wouldn't have expected to happen. Where do you think they're going to fall? Or where would you say at this point, Sam?
I was right there with you. I thought they were going to finish at the highest, around the 3rd seed. I think the LA team's got the top 2. Well, actually, I guess Utah's been really good. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily think the Suns are going to finish in the top 4. I think they absolutely could. I'm just not guaranteeing it. But I think they're a top 4 most dangerous playoff team, and that's what matters. I think we're at the point where the Suns could finish 5th or 6th in the standings, but they're going up against a team like Utah, or dare I say, even Denver, maybe in the first round. And I know it's recency bias to say this after literally the first game we got of both Chris Paul and Devin Booker scoring, 30 plus. Mm-hmm. But when you get a game like this, you get a glimpse of what the Suns have that other teams, except for the LA teams, because the LA teams are really good, but other teams just don't have that. They don't have that shot making ability. Yeah. They don't have that clutch shot making ability, that mid-range shot making ability in particular. I mean, it's a hard bargain to say they're going to beat, Denver in a series or whatever, but they could push anyone. I really think they could. They could finish 5th or 6th and push anyone. And I think they're equally likely, just, to reflect the question a little bit more directly, I think they're equally likely at this point of finishing in the 4th seed as they are of slipping to 6 or 7.
Yeah. That's probably a good way to put that. And I think we're probably going to end it here. I just want to say thank you to everyone that's watching on our YouTube channel and asking us questions live. We're going to do these every once in a while, midweek episodes, to try and answer some questions. This is our new way of doing mailbags, I guess is the way to do it. We like to have direct interaction with people who listen to this podcast. Once again, if you're listening on the podcast feed, check out our YouTube channel. Just search The Timeline Suns. You'll find us there. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to follow our podcast, subscribe, give us a good iTunes rating, that kind of thing. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll be back with another episode this weekend.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in the new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series premiering Sunday, June 6th, only on Showtime.